Here we go. Here we go. What an incredible, sweet, and pleasant surprise we've got here on our platform this evening. We've got the incredible guest of honor, Miss Dame Doria Cordova, as we begin to dive in and we talk about and we promote her latest #1 hit book that's already went #1 in less than a week, I think in days, maybe in hours, in 10 different categories. And this has really been, a long time waiting as we've been able to study Dame Doria's career and learn about all the success she's had, all the people she's been able to influence, all the people that she's been able to love on and share and care with and grow together with. Guess what? We really believed it was time for her to just go ahead and show the world to another level about who she is and her legacy and what she wants for this world and for this planet. So it's my honor to be able to have the incredible Dame Doria here live as she shares with you her latest book, Access to Cash, what drove her to write the book, and what we can expect from now since this book has already hit the market and changing lives. Welcome to the stage, Dame Doria. How are you, ma'am?
Oh, I'm so happy, and I'm so happy to be with you, my one percenters family. One of the greatest gifts was finding you all in March. My greatest gift, as we were still in the pandemic, you gave us so much love and light, and just the ability to be able to just feel resourceful. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, we're glad to be able to have you. We're here for one major purpose, which is the release of your #1 selling, a big hit book, the Access to Cash book. What in the world? What a title, by the way, because everybody wants more access to cash. But what made you come up with the title? What made you write the book? And why did it take you so long to give us such a gem and such a treasure?
Actually, it didn't take me that long. 6 years ago, I wrote the original version of it. And it came to me one year, kind of literally sitting around about 8 years ago, something like that. And all of a sudden, I started realizing that what true wealth was accessibility, is to be able to have access to certain things, not only cash, but also wealth and resources and experts and masters. And that is a combination, a compilation of all the decades of working and learning from the Buckminster Fullers and people like my beautiful Lynn Twist of the Soul of Money. So I don't know if you realize this, many people don't realize it, but it was 50 years ago that it was proven that there was sufficiency on the planet. But Mr. Fuller was teaching us then that we already had enough resources, enough food, enough water for everybody to be able to be fed. So, but having accessibility is actually a privilege that what the economically developed countries have. And sadly, we haven't been able to really get enough people or to find the methods and the systems for people to be able to have access to. So that's the big picture. Then there's the smaller picture. There are so many people around the world that don't feel like they have sufficiency. They feel like they are constantly lacking. They're constantly living whole actually that more book. The original book was it was a little bit of a business book, but this one is actually designed for how do you find access? Where does access live? Where are all the different access points in your life? So it's almost similar, not quite. It's not like your book, the power of a woman. I love my book. I love this book, right? With all your lists. Now you have many, many lists. I love all the lists that you have. Mine has is a little bit not quite like yours, but it does go into some of the details on how to be able to discover accessibility. And once a human being has that, then they begin to be more resourceful. They begin to be more grateful. They begin to have the ability to be able to say, oh, okay, I have accessibility to that. What can I do? How can I access it? And then once you have more than enough, then you must share that with others because poverty is bad for everybody. Poverty is horrific for rich people. So you're never going to be free. You're never going to be free. No matter how much money you have, unless you go, of course, go and live on an island, you can do that. But otherwise, you are constantly going to be afraid because there are people out there that feel like they only have access through robberies or through taking it in a way that is very unpleasant for you. So, one of the things that once we empower everyone to be able to understand access, that access is key, then we go across the board to solve a major problem.
Yeah, I think you said a key there is access. Because most people don't believe they have access. That's why I was really going, Dame, you've been able to see this all the way since back in the Buckminster Fuller days when he realized that there is sufficiency on the earth. And so when that hit you, I believe that must have triggered something into you and to say, hey, I want to write something to be able to show the steps. What can people expect? For the average person out there, what can they expect to be able to have revealed to them in this book, Dame Doria? Making sure that Dame is still on. Are we streaming? Oh, I think Dame might have. She might have. Let's do a check here. We are depending on technology, and we're going to ask technology to help us out here. But really, as we're waiting to get Dame Doria plugged back in here, and I know our team will let us know when she's ready to come back in. I'll get a message here. I want you to think about the book Access to Cash, and going in number one in 10 categories and I think it was like in breakneck speed. But the one thing I really realized that of the book from my take is that it gives a system. So when we think about going to school, grades 1 through 12, which I've calculated to be around 14,000 hours, when we've looked at that, I've said, okay, how much was teaching us about the things that the book is really challenging us with in the title, access to cash. When you think about that, access to cash, most people don't think that there is enough access to cash. So one thing that the book does is it challenges us on knowing, not hoping, not wishing, but actually knowing there is access to cash. And so, Dave, I just want to make sure you're back okay. Are you back with us? Okay.
I think
And
so. I think, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you. All right. This is good. This is good.
Eh,
So we got you back. We're working through technology, but I was just telling people, grades 1 through 12, there was not much taught to us about how to have actual access to cash. And really, like your book is like a challenge in the title. Because I think, you can even ask a question. So when I go access to cash, it makes me go, do I have enough access to cash? Everyone watching this, ask yourself the question. Do you have enough access to cash? Okay, if you think you have enough access, do you have enough access to a surplus in cash? So, Dane, what really made you, what could a person expect as they go through the book? What are some of the things that they can expect to be revealed to them from this book?
Well, very quickly, right there, you saw an example of not having access to good technology, right? Seriously, there are so many people that cannot go to school, could not go right here in the United States because they didn't have accessibility to having, their Wi-Fi and to be able to have their children study. When you begin to really see this distinction, it actually changes your life because all of a sudden you begin to pull, kind of like this blindfold that you had over your eyes. Because the biggest thing that we have to work on right now is the you part. We have to work in our own consciousness. And this is really, really important. So I'm going to pull some names here because I do talk about this in the book. In the book, there are different stories and there are different samples. And I do talk quite a bit about leverage because you know that leverage is the key to creating the level of wealth that you may want. So, one of the things that is very important for human beings to understand is that it is their consciousness, is the way that you see things, the way that you experience things, that will allow you to see that accessibility to what you really need to solve your problems. Now, and I talk about this, that money only solves money problems. It's not going to solve all your problems. So once you get cash handle, once you get revenues, income generating activities, your financial independence handle, and I talk about this in the book, then you're able to focus on handling other aspects of creating wealth. So it's the true definition of wealth is accessibility. So there are so many misconceptions about money. What is money? What is this thing called money? And it's like a baby, with the mobile above them. They just kind of like are focusing on that. And they miss the whole point of where money really is generated and experienced and gathered and gotten and kept and grown, right? It is when you begin to find ways to use whatever education you have and to leverage whatever little money you have or a lot of money and to be able to get focus on income generating activities and to create leverage. So it's my usual conversation. And David Fagan, who wrote the book, he interviewed me. He calls it curated by David Fagan, the publisher of the book, top talent, right?
Yeah.
He did a magnificent job in extracting what I meant to say.
You know what's amazing? Okay, well, we got some great comments coming in. Thank you, Lily. We got Melanie, Sandra, Horton, Jacqueline, Melanie, and our brother Mo Rock, the CEO of the Los Angeles Tribune, sending us a ton of love, back to you, Mo. I mean, I love this subject because it really makes us deal with the thing that most people are really not comfortable talking about, which is money. And Dave, you probably heard me say this before. As I grew up, my grandmother used to say to me, listen, boy, money don't grow on trees. I'm from the South, and I'd be asking for all these things. Grandma, I want some of this. Grandma, I want some of that. And she said, boy, money don't grow on trees. Now, I never had the audacity to say, well, Grandma, where's money grow then? Because I would have probably got an old fashioned Southern butt whooping or possibly knocked out because I had an old school grandmother. So maybe I had a conscience. Maybe most people got this little conscious thing with them about money. But as I began to progress through life and learn from different mentors, they told me, Dane, money doesn't grow on trees, it grows in other people's pockets. And I remember saying that one day, and that kind of struck you. How does this book relate to the money that grows in other people's pockets?
Well, you just have to access that. You just have to access that. And with a good product or service or program that can really allow people to really enjoy what you sell, what you have, you will definitely have accessibility to their pocket, right? I just love that. I think that you should really have a meme on that because, we have a lot of sayings. Robert Kiyosaki, who was, the co-author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and the first book is based on our work. We created a program called Creating Wealth, and we had, how do you move from being a wimp? Where's my paycheck, sir? Where's my paycheck? Being really wimpy too, and this is just a joke, everybody. This is just a joke, all right? And it's moving into being a pimp, which is put it in my pocket, sugar. you know, this is just a joke that we made, but this is really an interesting when you really look at it. It's like there is this energy that people have about money that is not accessible to them. And that is not true at all. So, I always invite people to go to Fridays with Doria, and we're going to be having Fridays with Doria at 5 p.m. California time today. And I invite all of you to come along. It's on every other Friday at 5 p.m. California. And then every other Friday, 9 o'clock in the morning, we do the Ho'oponopono prayer, because that's the other side of my work, which is the spiritual clearings, which, trust me, it works. The stories I could tell you. But anyway, so one of the things that we have done, if you go to fridayswithdoria.com and you look under resources, you will see the magical recovery exercises. And there is an aspect that people lack, which is deservability. I want you all to get this. There isn't anybody that doesn't need to work on their next level of deservability. Like whenever you, Jay, and Mo, and the whole one percenters only, club in Clubhouse, which is my family, whenever you kind of like are pushing me out there, and there's a part of me going, oh, no, 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 that's deservability. There isn't too many human beings on planet Earth that don't have deservability issues. I mean, there's guys that are worth $10 billion and feel less than the guy that has 40 billion, right? And so it's rampant on planet Earth. So experiencing sufficiency, I want everybody to say that sufficiency, that's
Yes,
enough. Sufficiency. And once you experience sufficiency, the game changes. You're no longer like having to dig and go, oh, I got to have this or I got to have that. All of a sudden, the game is about how can I add the most value? When you really understand money, when you really understand that it is a ripple effect, a precessional effect of good products and services, and wrapping an economic engine around your life purpose for those of you that are really committed to having your wonderful work out there. Now, there's a whole bunch of people on planet Earth that have no sense of any of that. And they're very clear that if they just have very sound business tools and they use leverage and they have good marketing and all this and that, they can sell anything. And that is true. I mean, you can sell just about anything. But the thing is that there's a new consciousness that has hit the earth. And a lot of our young people, your little son is going to be a completely different adult than many of the adults that you see today because of the environment that he's growing in. And so, but now you have millions and tens of millions and hundreds of millions of young people that are going, hey, I don't want to just make money at the expense of others. I don't want to have a zero sum life, business. Even in the stock market, you have an offshoot of young people that want to do good with their money. So there's an aspect of consciousness that has been rising at least since the 60s that I know of. It has probably happened a lot prior to that, but I became aware of it in the late 60s, 70s. And then you have the likes of Buckminster Fuller that began to show us what was happening. And now you fast forward in my life, 44 years later, is the greatest thing. Social entrepreneurship, doing good while you have great profits, planet, people, profits, social entrepreneurship, social capitalism, all these things. There's a whole other generation, and you better get on board because this is happening right now. And access that network, access those people, and your ability to create wealth and be happier will expand exponentially.
Wow, wow, wow. That's what I'm talking about. I knew if I gave that quote again, that Dane would go in on that. Money doesn't grow on trees, but it does grow in other people's pockets. And Access to Cash is a book that can show you how to attract that. And I love Dane broke it down. So look how powerful this can be. Everybody right now, go out and get a copy of this book, Access to Cash. Everybody. Why? You got to deal with the 14,000-hour dilemma sometime or another. There's no sense in you continuing to perpetuate not having what you want because of the 14,000-hour dilemma. What's that dilemma? Grades 1 through 12 not teaching us about how to be able to access cash. One thing I found out about this book, Dave, it gives you a healthy relationship with cash. And you said something about deservability. 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 And that made me think of a story of a basketball coach who went to a school that had been sanctioned. They had a bunch of their scholarships stripped away, and they had to rebuild the program with several walk-ons. And what the coach did, and I can't wait to hear what Dame has to say about this as it relates to this book and that subject, deservability. What the coach did was practice them so hard to where they were at the complete point of exhaustion. And every time they felt like they were going to pass out, he says, you remember how you feel right now. Nobody's working harder than you. So that when it comes down to the end of the game, you believe you deserve to win. And that's what I believe about this book, Dane. When somebody gets it in their head about they can actually access cash and it's going to make the world a better place, then they will believe they deserve to have it. And one thing
Yes,
I've learned about you, Dane, is that you believe creating that sufficiency and surplus is how we solve the global problem of lack. Would that be about accurate? I mean, could you comment on that?
absolutely. And it's not my belief. It's actually, this has been proven. There's a great book. I love Peter Diamandis. He's teaching his work. He wrote a book called Abundance. I can't remember how many years now, 10, 15 years ago. It's one of the great books, Abundance, where he proves that there's more than enough. I mean, he really, when that book came out, I had a bunch of people call me up and say, this is a money and you book. The guy just proved everything that you've been talking about. Well, this came from Buckminster Fuller. I'm just being a little parrot that is repeating after one of the greatest masters, one of the top 100 humans that lived on planet Earth on the 20th century by Time magazine, by the man that was called the Leonardo da Vinci of the planet, the man who actually created the word synergy, coined the word synergy, the word spaceship Earth, the man who Walt Disney absolutely admire so much, he created a thing called Epoch Center after him. Epoch Park in Orlando, Florida, is actually a representation of spaceship Earth. That's why you go through the whole planet, all these different countries. I so loved it. You see the big geodesic dome when you walk in there. So one of the things that you really need to understand that sufficiency is key. Now, what I've done is we created a face, excuse me, we do have a Facebook group called Access to Cash, and I'm sure you can find and just request to come in. I'm going to start doing teachings in there. But one of the things that I created with my web team is called accesstocashbook.com. Accesstocashbook.com. You go in there, and right now there's still a link in there for you to get it for $1.97 US. Now we're leaving that for a little while, not for long, but for a little while, so we can access my network in countries where $1.97 could be $15 for them of their money, not US dollars. It's 197 for us, but it's, for them, it's five, six, eight times more and even more than that. So I want everybody to get to this book. And but when you go there and you return the receipt to an email address that's on the page, you will get a bonus gift from me. And it's interesting because people go, why would you give me a whole chapter 2 from your money making systems manual, that is how to get organized in my office and my desk? And then of course everybody, my guys children laugh at me and go, Auntie DC, you're so funny. We don't have desks anymore. We don't have offices anymore. We have this little thing here, our phones, where you can actually also use it on your apps for your phone. And so one of the things that you will see it is that the, if I may say this, God is in the details. I don't call on the DEVIL, okay? We don't call on that energy. We call on God. We call on the light energy, all right? So the God lives in the details. And so what one of the things that I want to leave you with, that I always want to say this in every program that I ever do, which is that there is the big picture. You actually see it behind me. This particular the excuse me, the business bowl, the business success model bowl, the fruit bowl that you see. That is from our Money and You program. So first you hold the fruit on this big bowl, and you have the context is the vision, the mission. Then you have clear rules of the game. All the little fruits are the people, the rules of the game, how you're going to participate together. What is going to be the unique selling proposition? Now, here's where I really want to give you a big plug right here to you, Jay, and to Mo, and to the one percenters, because I feel like we're a group of masters. And you are very, very clear that you have to have tools. So, because this is also going to be seen by my global network, this particular conversation, can you just let people know what are some of the tools aside from this absolutely amazing book that everyone should also go and get, right? And if somebody could please write down the name of your webpage for this book, I want you to tell us some of the tools, because the tools that you teach, the tools that your organization and the different people that we know in the one percenters only, those tools are necessary in order for us to have an economic engine around our life purpose. So please share, Jay, with my global network, because we have a lot of our one percenters here that are going to be watching this. But I also want my accelerated, my Money and You, my Business School for Entrepreneurs network. What say you about what you provide the world?
Well, we have a lot of different angles. You brought up the one percenters. If everyone goes to the one percenters dot club, the one percenters dot club, we have a beautiful uh, VIP opportunity there where we do a weekly mastermind, myself and Mr. Mo Rock, the CEO of the LA Tribune. You can go, you can plug in, and literally on a shoestring be able to get involved in a what I would consider a multifaceted, high level mastermind to keep your mind sharp to where you're able to master your thoughts. I've got a beautiful website that has a ton of different tools over at jnolandmastery.com. www.jnolandmastery.com. We have everything from books, we have audio courses, we have video courses, we have sound frequency tools, so much to be able to pull from. But what I love about this is that we're able to work in collaboration and support of one another, like Dame Doria and the tools that she has over at moneyandyou.com. So if you go over to www.moneyandyou.com, you can see those tools and how they all build on each other. You see, there's a congruency here, and we're not ashamed to be able to promote each other. We're not afraid of someone else's shine. I want Dame Doria's book to be a New York Times bestseller, a USA Today bestseller. I want it to go to every continent. I want it in every language. You want to know why? Because I believe in the foundations of what she's teaching, and I know the energy and the heart where she's coming from. And that's what I love to bring to the table, which is real. When you meet me, I am who I say I am, and nothing can change that. And I've learned to live in that power. That's very powerful when you can meet people and just be who you say you are, but not when you're in front of people, but when you're away from people, when you're with your family. Dame Doria is who she says she is when you're meeting her. But you need to really get to know and go inside the mind. Why does one person do more than another person as far as expanding their resources? It's how they think. So, what Dame just challenged us with is to be able to expand our thought process by using these powerful tools. Make sure when you want cutting edge media, you get over to the Los Angeles Tribune. Why? Because Mo Rock, known as the Maverick of media, he's putting together an angle on media that nobody out there in media is doing. And that's 25 years of me being in business, doing business in dozens and dozens of countries around the world. I'm telling you, with this network and with this book, and when you access to cash, you'll be able to get involved in this network. It can go all over the place. I've dropped the link. So if you go over to, if you look in the comments here, you see access to cashbook.com. You can click right there, get it, you can get your quick copy. We've got all types of links that are dropping here. But Dane, I'm so excited about what happens next. You drop this book, now you got that energy boost. Now, someone like you that gets a jolt of energy like that, how do you believe that's going to help you in this world? What can the world expect from you from this point on?
Organization, which is in the Asia Pacific region. You know, we have partners, the Globe Success Learning in Malaysia, that work closely with Singapore. And then we have, of course, we have 90 Degrees in Australia. These are our Australian, New Zealand partners. And then we have our Japanese partners. So, and then we have our Chinese partners, and then we have partners that are going to be growing it in India. But to bring it back, there was a little course that I have, which is called leverage2.cash. Did you know that there's a domain that you can buy called .cash? Did you know that? You should have some of your stuff in .cash, you guys. It's leverage2.cash. That's a small $67 program that that people can go ahead and do, and it's really fast, and it's all these snippets about leverage, and then of course the access to cash course, and that's Mamacita here spending 6.5 hours, access to cashcourse.com. And that's me speaking for 6.5 hours on how to build organizations. And then, of course, every other Friday, well, every Friday, Fridays with Doria.com. And then, of course, we absolutely love when we're coming back now with our live Money and You program. And when we're not doing live Money and You program, the team, the Asia Pacific team, all the beautiful people, Real, Bergen Doyle, and Craig Doyle, her love and business partner. And then, of course, the team in Malaysia, and that is beautiful JC Wheat, Aaron Stan, powered by Wendy Tan, and a beautiful man by the name of Douglas Ng from Malaysia. And then you have Tamami Oshiki and Raimon Ao in Japan. And what they have done, they've all gotten together and created a course called leading by my instructor called Carrie Zurier, called Evolve XP. And that's moneyandyou.com/Evolve XP. And that particular program is now a 2-day online event that came out of COVID that has 4 brand new experiential games. So people can get all of these if they go to my Facebook, DC Cordova, they're all on the left side. But more than anything else, I love our organization, and we are demonstrating here collaboration. But more than anything else, this is what I want you all to put out there. Remember, at the One Percenters Only Clubhouse, when is the next group that we're going to have together? Do you know that?
That's going to be
Hmm?
happening on. That will be happening on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Wednesday,
Okay, so
Pacific Standard Time.
Okay, so that's going to be next Wednesday. I'll be on an airplane, but I will be there in spirit. So, what I want you to know, for instance, I was speaking about it in that group that it would cost, and now it's much less, but it would cost $100 billion to eradicate hunger, not poverty, hunger. And that would be actually being able to feed all those people who are hungry and starving, because every day anywhere between 15 to 18,000 right now, mostly children, And it's so heartbreaking, dying of hunger right at this particular moment. We have got to do something. We've got to do something. Everybody say it. We have got to do something. All right.
Yeah.
So let's use the ultimate leverage. Right. The ultimate leverage. So it would cost, and now it's lower, but we're going to stay with the 100 billion because we always know that things cost more and they take longer than we expect. Right. If you are an entrepreneur, you know that, right? So it's 100 billion US, and that will handle it, worldwide. And then it would give the NGOs and all the people who know how to do this, it would give them the time for them to be able to maintain that so that it will become a permanent condition of no hunger on planet Earth. The first thing I want you to do is to believe it. I want you all to believe it because I run into so many people that say, that's impossible, Doria. That's impossible. We always have had hunger. We've always had wars. And guess what? Don't get me started. We do have small wars, but don't get me started on that because that's another pet peeve of mine. So let's stay with the hunger. So just so that you know, I started putting the word out. Okay, let's get 100 billionaires that would be willing to give 1 billion, the way that Ted Turner did, and he created the UN Foundation. So just think, billionaires, and pass the word to the billionaires or could have access to. You know that if you have access to certain people and organization, you will have access to billionaires. So it would be great PR for you. You would probably win a Nobel Peace Prize, or if not, a Right Livelihood Peace Prize. You get you get to sit for dinner along the same people that win the Nobel Prize. Okay, my beautiful partner Wang Min has won that Right Livelihood Award. That's for doing good. All right, you'll get a ticket to heaven. This is the good ones. But more than anything else, the PR around the world that you were one of the 100 people that eradicated hunger on the planet, that fed the whole world. Tell me, dude, ladies, if that wouldn't be great PR for you. All right. That's in case you need the PR. But then, more than anything else, what it would do, it would demonstrate to the world, for those of you that have so much access, and we're back to talking about access. You have so much access, not only to wealth, to money, to cash, to banks, to resources, to medicines, to all the things, and your pure, generous heart is so willing to give that one little tiny $1 billion that may take you just a few months, maybe a year, and maybe less time for you to recuperate that billion. So that is my latest. That is what I want more than anything else. And I want you all to be empowered by that. I want you all to become pot vipers for that. And I don't have to be the one that creates this. I want you to get this. Whenever you have an outrageously hairy big goal and dream, you don't have to be the one that creates it. Let other people get the credit. You know what? Let them. And it already, if you go to my Facebook, yesterday, my friend Joy Mega sent me a text, and already they're talking that if they can access a small number of billionaires and each one gives 6 billion, I believe it can feed 43 million people. Now, there is a start. You see, I didn't I had nothing to do with that, and maybe I had something to do with it, because when you begin to plant those seeds, and I want you all to begin to think so big and solve such a big problem. For some of you is human trafficking, for some of you is health and all these things. What happens is that when you come back to planet Earth and you come back to your life, all of a sudden your problems seem like you're so grateful for the shower you're taking. You're so grateful for the food that you have, for the Wi-Fi that you have, and your life just begins to expand, and it's beautiful. And Jay, this is what I love about you, and Mo and Lena and Scott, and Rex and Michelle, and Ori, the gangster, and oh my God, all the people. I'm forgetting all these beautiful people. I'm really expanded right now, and this is what I love about you, because when I get around you, then that part of me that needs to be filled with love and light, because I'm a human. And my mama has dementia, and my best friends are six friends who are getting ready to die. The human part of me gets really sad and hurt and angry. And then I forget about all the hungry people. And then I get around you guys, and it's like, I'm back. And that's why we need each other. That's why we need to collaborate. And I'm so grateful for you and your whole Ohana, your family. And my God, I went into a little conversation, but you know how I
Ah,
get.
this
You know me already.
is it. That's what we want. That's why I asked the question, because I knew it would be able to stoke something that's going to impact so many people. This is being shown on multiple platforms. We got it on Facebook, we got it on YouTube, we got it on Instagram. You know what? My team, when this is done, they're going to go promote it to a wide audience. It'll be thousands and thousands of people that view and watch this. And I know that everybody's watching this, you feel inspired. You can make a difference. But you got to really accept what Dame Doria just gave us. She gave us a challenge to just think bigger. The book Think and Grow Rich means you can think and then grow rich. It doesn't mean it's going to happen instantly, but it means you should be growing rich by thinking bigger. Everything is possible. Everything. You know, I want you to think of this the next time when you think about limited, not having enough. I want you to think about dirt. Think about dirt. When will we ever run out of dirt on this earth? We're not running out of dirt. And what is dirt? It's just matter, it's material that creates other things that we see. Somehow or another, everything you see comes from that dirt. Somehow or another. Everything you see has some of that dirt in it. It has expanded itself. It's multiplied. What it's done is prove to us that there is no limits. We only limit it. And what we have with access to cash with Dame Doria is that fire, that igniter to be able to move us into a dirt mentality. That means a multiplier. That means an exponentiator. I mean, everything becomes possible when you get these types of words and thoughts into your spirit. You got to grab access to cash because it's got me fired up. Can you tell? I bet you to get you fired up into that multiplier. Dame Doria, any closing words from you? We know you got something special to be able to share with your audience here to close us out.
Oh, I just know that you are the difference. That I'm just a simple little girl from Chile that just was blessed with having been touched greatly in an experience that I had when I was 26 years old, and then meeting, beautiful Buckminster Fuller, and then going to the first business school for entrepreneurs of its kind that I inherited. So I was so blessed in so many ways. And so, what that allowed me to do is for me to be able to just kind of create these grand visions that I learned from so many experts and masters. And so, Buckminster Fuller used to say, I'm just a little throw away. And when I first heard him say that when I was 27 years old, I thought, oh my God, he shouldn't speak like that about himself. And then, of course, I got to be around him for 6 years. He passed away on July 1st, 1983. And I remember just thinking, oh, I understand now. I understand now. What he meant to say is that he's just a simple person. He's just a simple, simple human being. And so is everyone. Everyone. We're just simple, simple people. But we get a little bit, sometimes a little bit out there, and it's totally okay. Ho'oponopono. We forgive ourselves, we forgive others. And just know that you can make a difference, whether you make it to the homeless person is down the street from you or that you would run into. Be willing to look at homeless in the eyes. Just notice that resistance you may have. You don't know what really is behind that human being. Show a little compassion, show a little love, follow your heart, maybe carry food with you if you don't want to give them cash. But when you begin to really look at your brothers and sisters in the world in the eyes, that compassionate heart will also turn to being compassionate with yourself. So thank you for watching this. Thank you for passing. I have more than enough this life. So thank you so much that you're passing the word about all of these beautiful materials, all these different books. And I have Rex's book right here that I love this book. Life on
Wonderful.
your own terms. I love this book. And of course,
Yeah.
Ori. He's going to take us all to Hollywood. The Accidental Gangster. That's another amazing story. These are all the people I have met at the One Percenters. And of course, we have the power of a woman that we love. So it's like support each other, collaborate, and we are going to make this world